Hey guys, welcome to the Moment of Clarity, Lessons in Leadership. I'm Dr. Williams, and today we're going to talk about development. Stay tuned. All right, guys, let's talk about development. Listen, development is critical. I promise you, we develop in every area of our lives, but we don't focus on the mere fact that development is in place in our lives for a reason. Listen, in any area of your life that you've gotten better at, in any area of your life that you've seen growth in, is an area that you were willing to some degree to develop. Right? And I'll say this. In any area of your life in which you are unwilling to develop is an area of your life that you're willing to let die. Let me say that again. In an area of your life that you're unwilling to develop is also a space where you're willing to let die. You have to be a leader that is willing to develop, right? And as you develop as a leader, you're then given the skills and the tactics to help other people develop into what they can become. Think about that. You're put on earth not just to develop yourself, but to develop others. And I believe that the only way that you can be efficient, the only way you can be effective for other people is if you yourself is developing. I think that's key. I think that's powerful because what you have to understand is no matter what capacity you lead in, you cannot lead the way you led today, tomorrow. You have to figure out how to grow your leadership, whether or not that's as a father, as a mother, as a big brother, right? You have to figure out how to grow your leadership in such a way that you're on a continuous trajectory of development and you're continuously getting better. Listen, Kobe Bryant said this: you should get better every day. Yeah, that's a simple quote, but it's so true. You should get better every day. If you're a leader, you should get to a place where you're growing and you're better in whatever capacity you lead in today than you were yesterday, right? That only comes through reflection. So let's talk about the purpose of development. Let's talk about why you need to develop, right? So the first purpose that I believe we have for development is so that we can become better, but we can know who we are, but also who we can become. Yeah, that is who we are able to be now, but it also involves our potential. It is a scary thought to really know what your potential is. It's really scary to understand the real reason you were placed on earth and the potential that you really and ultimately have. Listen, I believe that your potential will sit dormant if you're scared to develop it. Let me say that again. Your potential will sit dormant if you're scared to develop it. Listen, we were created to be creatures of development. You're not the same size you were when you were 1 year old, right? Your thought process is different in mental, emotional, physical ways you have developed. And so we expect to lead today like we led 10 years ago, absent of development. You cannot lead effectively in any area on a consistent basis for a long period of time if you're not developing. Listen, that's why you have one-hit wonders in music, right? They create a hit that's amazing, but because they're not developing their style, they're not developing the craft that they have, they're not able to consistently and ultimately be better than they were before. Listen, the purpose of development is to show you who you are and to show you who you can become. And I believe that's so powerful in leadership. And we are scared to know who we can become because we're comfortable with who we are. We're scared to really grasp who we can become because we're comfortable with who we are. And when you lead other people, whether or not that's your children, whether or not that's people in your company. When you lead other people, you have to lead with the capacity and the ability to know that I'm not going to always be who I am right now. Listen, but the second purpose, I believe, of development is so that you can show others who they can become. Listen, I develop as a father so that I can show my children who they can become. I develop as a school leader so that I can show my students and my staff what they can become. Listen, you have to live a life and a lifestyle so that your gifts, so that your talents, so that your abilities are blessing other people. Listen, you don't have to be particularly religious to believe that, but you have to know that I've been gifted with something in my leadership capacity that is making life better for someone else. Listen, that doesn't particularly mean that it's making life easier for someone else, but it's making life better for someone else because of the development that I'm receiving and I'm getting over a period of time that's going to allow me to be the best me, the best leader that I can possibly be. Listen, are you despising development? Right? Because development does not always feel good. Oftentimes, development feels bad. Oftentimes, development has growing pains, right? Oftentimes, development is squeezing on you and making you uncomfortable so that you can then stretch and blossom into the leader that you're called to be. Listen, development is nasty. Development is scary. Development is painful. Think about a flower. When you plant that seed, right? You plant that seed in the ground, that flower has to muster the strength. That seed musters the strength to fight through the soil, to fight through the ground, and then it comes up and blossoms. But it's the development phase that is a problem, that is painful, that is restrictive, that allows it to blossom at the end. Listen, don't despise the day of small beginnings. Don't despise the developmental phase, because I promise you, that developmental phase is stretching you, it's constricting you, but it's doing so to show you who you can ultimately become. Listen, leave me a comment below. Like, share, and subscribe. And remember, if no one's following you, you're just walking. Until next time.